everybody, to Layered Insights, a 3D printing podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Matt.
This week, we're going to talk about digital factory, the factory of the future, as it's called in so many CEO speeches at trade shows. We're going to dive into just manufacturing and like how 3D printing can really transform businesses.
And what it
Even,
means, I think it's right
yeah,
now it's used a lot as a buzzword, right?
yes. Yeah. So what is a digital factory to you, Matt?
So, well, let's start with what's a regular factory or
Oh, yeah, perfect. Perfect.
warehouse, right?
Yeah.
So they manufacture parts, right, in mass, and
Hmm.
then they store them in warehouses, and then they have to ship them out to the locations that need them for assembly and all this stuff, right?
Mm,
So it's a lot of space heavy. It's a
hmm.
lot of batch manufacturing. It's a lot of shipping. All those things add up.
Yeah.
Now we have, so that's your physical factory. And then in this new age, we have the digital factory where the idea is all your parts, which would be files, 3D models, live in the cloud or on the computer or on a website,
Mm,
somewhere on some digital form. So it's only taking up the space,
mm,
the memory space. It's not taking up factory floors or stuff.
yep.
Then, when you get an order in, then you take those files and you manufacture them either through, additive manufacturing or maybe even CNC,
Hmm.
whatever you can put a code into and it just runs it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of semi-automated. So then you don't need all that space. You print the parts on demand and then you ship them out and then you're not storing them in factories. Or better
Right.
yet, you're printing them on demand at the location so that you don't have to ship them
Right.
except straight to your customers. So there's less shipping in general,
Mm.
there's less storage space. You can easily make modifications, stuff like that. What do you have to add?
No, I love that breakdown and like even more traditional factories where like you've got a made product in inventory to sell. Even that has changed a lot where like there's these drop shipping companies where
Yeah.
they don't even have it on location. They just have somewhere else dealing with it. It's like so much of it has changed from like those old like 1920s to 40s, like I guess not 20s, but that early manufacturing like training videos where like they're
Yeah.
showing somebody running a mill or a lathe manually and like entire rooms of drafters, just
Hmm.
working programs. It's such a great understanding of like how things have changed. But yeah, from a digital or like a factory perspective, I think you nailed it. I think having what it takes to make something in the traditional way, the shipping is such something that like just stood out to me as such a difference. Like if you imagine anything that you buy off of Amazon or like or even from a retail store, the amount of places that thing has
It
been before
goes,
it's
yeah,
reached your home is crazy, especially in a climate conscious world, right? Like that's a way of doing things that really just doesn't align anymore. And now with everything being so expensive, it really doesn't make a lot of sense either.
yeah. Or even if you, like we've talked about before, you have the supply chain problems, right?
Hmm.
Shippings or the tariffs start getting expensive, right?
Hmm.
We're eliminating that. And even, right, real estate's super expensive now. So getting that
Yeah.
factory space to store goods is just very expensive. And then I like how you brought in drop shipping
Mm,
because I think because you have the factory and people are they're just shipping directly from the factory, right? Or the
right.
warehouse that's storing it. I think there's something almost similar in the AM space where like Slant 3D and some other companies, you can have your model hosted on Etsy or your
Mm,
website, and then, it's being printed and a factory and they're shipping it directly to customers. So that's almost like
right.
a drop shipping version for additive
Yeah.
manufacturing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. And that could be helpful. I know we talked about this idea from a business perspective. Like that could be really valuable in a few different ways. Like number one, like you don't necessarily even need a 3D printer to even run that stuff. Or if you do run a shop and you don't want to put out a product that like consumes your actual machines, you can just outsource that and just
Yeah,
have that be another part of your business. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, which is the amount of It's kind of like the world that we live in. Back when they were making things, there was only a few machines and ways of doing things so you could make stuff. So everything was designed a very certain way. And now we live in this world of options and plenty that, there are just a lot of ways that you can cut this cake of like, how do you get something to someone?
Yeah, I think the other thing that's interesting is both of us run a business doing manufacturing of parts,
Yeah.
and we don't have big spaces.
No.
We have enough space for our machines and the raw material,
Hmm.
but then, we are manufacturing a lot of parts or maybe big parts, and because we don't have to store them or go rent a locker somewhere or storage space somewhere, we can get away with, less overhead, and as soon as we print an order or a batch, we're shipping it out right away. We're not holding an inventory. It makes
Yep.
it easier for small businesses to cut back on money and actually run a manufacturing shop.
Yeah. Yeah, there's such a lower bar in a good way to enter into like starting your own business and manufacturing. And in a world where things are chaotic and expensive, that's also good because you can really focus on your costs and you're not sunk into, well, this is how everyone's always done it
Yeah.
world, which sometimes that would be nice to have someone else like, oh, you've done this before. Can I talk to you about this? But, that's that's the businesses we've chosen. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes there's a reason to go with that out of the way that's already built out more and structured, but
totally.
I think you do end up paying more of that higher price cap for entry. But if you
Absolutely.
have a product that demands it and it fits, it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's where we come in. I think, we're an easy entry or to low to mid production, and we can do it with very little space, right? Slant 3D, one of the biggest print farms in the United States. They'll talk about how they're becoming the new Amazon, except they don't have shelves, right?
Right.
They're just printing stuff as they go, and
Wow.
they just have that. It's a big factory for 3D printing, but they're not holding any inventory, so it's still a much smaller space than what Amazon is using for the same amount of products
Yeah.
that they're shipping out and stuff like that. So he sometimes he makes that kind of comparison, which is really, really interesting.
I'm blown away by like all the different ways with the 3D printing industry. It's always interesting to see how things kind of like move in the approaches that people take, especially like from the hobbyist level stuff, which both of us use, and that Slant 3D uses the same, I'm sure.
They make their own machines
Even better.
for their needs, but
Yeah.
it's still, I wouldn't say they're a little more than hobbyists, but I wouldn't say they're like the industrial machines, the
Mm.
Stratasys and stuff like that.
I think having worked in the traditional manufacturing space when I started working as an engineer, I was even interning in college. Like, it was really interesting to see that world, which still existed, not at its glory of before, and a lot of the experts that I was working with, the people that were the best in the company, they were at retirement age, and like seeing that transfer of knowledge and being a person that helped like foster that exchange to the next generation was really interesting. And even though I think traditional manufacturing spaces get a lot of grief for like being rigid and not learning, once those folks with the knowledge were bought into the process of we've got to train this next generation to be able to manufacture and do this stuff, the things that they could come up with together was like really, really important and was not like anything that any of them had done before. And I think it's a huge disconnect we have, especially in America. Even in China, China has been learning kind of third hand through us for a very long time. And then now they've got a really solid base, but they also still don't have that really deep knowledge of as many years as like the US has or Germany has.
Yeah.
I guess I look at the scape of just manufacturing a lot, and I think it's so cool that we can have a business where we're not only the business, but the product and the manufacturing of it all. Like being able to do all of that really was not a thing
No.
not that long ago,
That's
you
why,
know?
like, when 3D printing first was made available to people like us,
Mm.
as a mechanical engineer, I'm like, this is the thing,
This is this is
This is the
everything I
thing that will
wanted.
let me be a mechanical engineer just like on my own,
Hmm.
So it's like It's just such an exciting technology because of that.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go on a rant of
Tangent.
talking about how much
Uh,
things are so cool because we could talk about that for hours and just sound silly. But the transformation of it all, you talked about the raw material aspect. Like I think that's when you're in a company and you see all the stuff that's on a shelf, like even going into a retail store, like seeing everything that's on that shelf, the cost of all of that to a business, from storage space to even time, right? They had to do all the product development, R&D before it even hit the shelves. And I think we've already talked about the expense from that side, but there's a lot of people who are trying to, I've been seeing this on LinkedIn a lot, people that are going to these manufacturers, these factories, and trying to do R&D
mhm.
and get stuff to move fast, and they're reaching this limit where they're not fast, you
It's
know?
not fast, and it's cost them an arm and a leg.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's so much opportunity for folks like ourselves and others that it really becomes the daily attrition of like how much attention can I get and find the right people that are looking for this because they are. We've talked about
Yeah.
like being in a bubble of like feeling like everything we're talking about everyone knows and like it's like is there
Yeah,
really
yeah.
anything new? Man, if you just have the courage to step back and like look at the greater field of things, I don't think the demand for stuff that we're doing has been any higher in our lifetimes. I think it's massive right now.
Oh, it's gonna keep going up. And I think that's part of the reason I created my company was getting more people to see the technology and understand what it can do to create the bigger demand. Because I think tons of people aren't utilizing technology because they don't know about it or know enough about it or know what it's capable of doing. So then you somehow get it more out there and get more education, and then people will find more demand for it and things they want to do with it. And then like, oh wait, I can make my own product or my own idea super cheaply like never before.
Yeah.
I think too, like you're talking about, the overhead costs for people. When you're doing those regular runs in a factory, you're making a product that maybe you did some customer test or user test to get some feedback and stuff, but you really don't know how well that product's going to sell yet.
No.
But you have to, if it's a product you're selling, it only makes sense if you're going to manufacture it, you have to manufacture it in mass. That's a lot of overhead for all that inventory.
To even have a
Right.
shot at finding something
Even
that
have a
people
shot,
want. Yeah.
100%,
Yeah.
right? And you have no idea, you're just putting it out in the world. Sure, you've done some tests and you've done some statistics and whatever, but you still don't know how many you're going to sell. But you've got
Yeah.
to buy a lot of them, right? With 3D printing, you don't. And then if you do hit a golden ticket, it's like, okay, that's we can print as much as you need
Yeah.
on demand. So you don't have to spend all that money for inventory just to get it out there and start selling.
Yeah. Going back to what we started with, like the transformative word for 3D printing is used a lot, but there are a ton of real examples that I feel like don't get the true light of day
Yeah.
when we're just listening to those, pump up speeches.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, I
Yeah.
think what you're doing is a great example because you design and print something, you put it out in the market and see how it
Yep.
goes, right?
Yep.
Not everything you put out's a winner.
Nope.
Some of them are winners.
Yeah.
And then you get the demand, you can just print it on demand. So it's like you can always scale up pretty easily to a certain amount,
Yeah.
but it's like you could test the waters and not just sink a ton of money into it, right? And most of the time
Yeah.
you're just going to be sinking your time in the material and prototypes and
Hmm.
then trying to market it, right?
Yeah, it started from a very just like innocent place of this is something that I made for myself that was really useful. And then in the early days, I would like show it to somebody and it had the same problem. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. It's either I have to waste or put in a bunch of money for the opportunity of it, or I never do it because I won't
Yes.
have the money, and like
Yes.
that reality changer that like the 3D printer brings in, especially the hobbyist level ones that are accessible at a budget
Hmm.
that anyone can do. That's really cool for those that are willing to go into the fire of running a 3D printer. But for people that come to us to develop business ideas and products and other things that are just like this pain point of their every single day. And
Yeah.
it's like it might not even cost that much money to make, but the fact that it's even possible is because of these like 3D printers. Like manufacturing's been around for a long time, but that doesn't mean that people with ideas had access to manufacturing.
Hmm.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And I like what you said, you come up with an idea. It's like, for yourself. And then like I design a lot of stuff for myself and it's like it's, it's so specialized. I don't think anyone else would want this,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
who else would possibly need this? And you know what? You could be completely wrong. And it's not that much effort to just put it out there
No.
and see if it catches on or not, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
No,
like you
it's
said,
yeah.
start from what you would want to buy, right? I think that's always a
Yeah.
good point is start where you what you would want to buy, even if it is super specific,
Yeah.
and put it out in the world and see what they think about it. And if they
Mm-hmm.
don't, who cares? You made what you need for yourself. You put very little effort to getting it out there.
Mm-hmm. It's a really cool process, and it's rife with iterative design and all these like ideas of like developing ideas fast, but it's also so cheap. I mean, just to run through some of the numbers because I've done it for so long, like aside from like a Shopify, right, which you could start right now, I think they do like a deal. They're not sponsored by us, but they could be, but they're not. They have like a trial where it's like $1 a month to put up your store, which already right off the bat, like you can put out a product like at $1 a month just to start. That's crazy. If you're on Etsy, there's like a 20 cent like listing fee for like I think it's like 3 months, which again is nothing for
That's
testing an
nothing.
idea.
Yeah.
And then from there, I like the Etsy thing of starting out because you have a closed niche network where people go there to shop specifically for these kinds of things. You can also just like look at what if there's a product that's similar, you can see what someone else is doing, copy it for the most part, the approach, the maybe the tags that they use, put up a good picture and like you're in the game for like almost next to nothing. And I mean, I still to this day, like I don't do as much, I definitely don't do as much advertising as I should, but like orders come in. Like I had two come in this week for something that was just such a simple, it was like a weekend. I just had like an hour or two, whipped something up and printed it. And that's one of the like highest, most selling things on the shop. Like it really shocks me. Like every time someone buys it, it's just like, wow, like that's really fucking cool.
I think the other thing that's cool is because a lot of things I think we're making you can't they're not necessarily available anywhere else.
Mm, yeah.
So it's like, you know, let me know if you think I'm wrong, but I think
Mm,
even other people's Etsy shops and stuff, the feedback from the customers is very positive and high because they're getting a
mm,
very, you know, usually unique thing or something they can't buy on Amazon or elsewhere. So you end up with the really happy customer base. It's like, oh, this is so cool,
mm,
it's not really available anywhere else, or maybe you customize it for them or this or
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think we get a joy out of just printing it for people, and then people get a joy out of
Mm,
getting the product. That's.
yeah. You nailed it. It's also really cool because unlike buying from like an Amazon, well, specifically Amazon, you're getting something that you bought probably from somebody else, but then it comes in the Amazon box and then, maybe you get like a receipt with it, but like, it's not personal at
Hmm.
all. And Etsy definitely runs that line of like everything you're buying is something personal, whether it's for somebody or to your point, it's something so unique that it's like I finally found what I wanted.
Yeah.
But like the best shops, when I started doing this after I had bought a few things from Etsy and experienced it myself, it's like the simple thing of like write on your receipt or an extra little note, thank you so much, just handwritten note of just like thank you for supporting us, sending coupon codes and stickers, things they just didn't expect
Hmm.
afterwards. Like that's part of the magic of like what an Etsy type thing provides. Like even setting up a Shopify account doesn't have all the stuff that you can do in Etsy, like communicating with the customer directly. And well, I'm sure it's possible. It's just something you've got to do extra to get to
Yeah.
that point. So yeah, it is a special experience. I think that's why they win a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah.
People they like to promote the artists there
Yeah.
and maybe
Yeah.
even pay a little bit more money in because some of the stuff is, you know, a lot of people, I'm gonna say handmade.
Mm,
So I think a lot of people would argue our 3D print stuff is not handmade and a lot of Etsy stuff is handmade.
yeah.
But I think I don't want to go into that argument, but we do design most of the stuff or we're doing some post-processing or
Hmm.
supports and stuff like that. But still like I think it's still kind of from the same place, our heart,
Yeah.
our love for it and stuff like that. So it is
Hmm.
still different than Amazon, even if people might qualify our 3D prints as handmade, like a lot of Etsy stuff is.
Yeah. Well, it's to Etsy's credit in the last year, they've now gotten more granular about that for like they're kind of focusing on the shop and the shopkeepers.
Yeah.
Um, and so now there's actually a section that's there. It's not just handmade. It's like I made it how. So there's like a
Yeah,
3D
yeah. Oh,
printing
that's cool. So
section, which
then,
is
like the
really
laser
cool.
cutting and the
Yeah.
maybe the wood CNC and stuff all fits under that umbrella.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So and I think people do want to know that, which is cool. But that's fostered on that network, you know. It's not
Yeah,
something you
yeah.
see everywhere else.
No, it's crazy because even 3D printing, laser cutting, wood CNC, Cricut, a bunch of
Mm.
I think there's a handful of different machines right now that are so cheap you can buy it,
Yeah.
come up with some designs, and just start a business on Etsy,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm. Yeah, and depending on how much you have, like I've seen, I think we were texting back and forth about that like UV like
Oh
printer
yeah, yeah,
with the UV resin or laser cutters. Yeah, I've seen so many people just like start up with a machine. There's a guy I just started following who makes like wooden UFOs and stuff, and just it's just like watching him work with a Dremel or like whatever he's working with. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like, yeah, like this is I don't know. I've always loved it, so I never know if it's a real trend or if my algorithm is just giving me more of what I like, which both could
Uh,
be true, I guess.
yeah,
But
definitely. I
yeah, for me, yeah, that's where it's at.
think we're a little bit away from the topic,
We
but
are, we are, we diverted
uh,
as usual. So
but I think it was a good diversion. 'Cause it's still, even those laser cutter people, the UV
hmm
printing people, it's like it's the same thing, right?
hmm
They're taking the business away from the bigger factories and doing it at home.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
a different way into the factory.
And
A
in
lot of home
location
factories now.
to go to the digital factory and like the factories of the future, they're not the traditional factory. It's not a building filled with machines. It's a
Hmm.
basement. It's an office. It's a,
It's Mars or the space station,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's where you need it, which is a very different approach to all of this. And it's going to require training, right? People need to learn how to 3D print. I think it's also beautiful if a product comes out that doesn't require more training, like the bamboo, right? The
Yeah,
bamboo really changed how many people have access to printers. With everything happening with bamboo and, stuff being locked out and you being forced into that ecosystem potentially, like a lot of people who would have easily not have to worry about it, what happens when they have issues down the line and they want to get something cheaper? Like, they're going to have to jump into the pool of knowledge again and like figure it out and swim, right? Like,
yeah,
that's a reality of manufacturing that even the companies with manufacturing take for granted sometimes. How much work is really when a printer goes down and you're in the middle
hmm
of a project. How many times does that happen? And it was not expected, and it's
uh,
painful.
yeah. Too many. That's why you have
Too many.
backup printers, right?
Yep,
Uh,
yep. That's why I have four resin printers and six filament printers
uh,
because you always need to have one to pull back to life. Yeah. It's crazy.
uh,
But that's that's definitely a way that the factories of the past and the future are the same. Is that it's not click print, it's not, you know, injection mold this, mill this, rarely ever is.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
to that, talking about digital factories, I think a little bit like we talked last time, it's about getting more 3D models available and out there.
Yeah.
Even getting companies having files for replacement parts, having, add-ons or modifications for their products out there. I don't know, just people making more 3D files available so it's in the digital factory,
Yeah.
whether it's free or paid, so that we have that expansive library and it's easier for someone to say, hey, I want one of this,
Yeah.
order it and get it 3D printed, or oh, I'm gonna print it myself.
Hmm.
So I think it's expanding that digital factory so it's that size of what's on Amazon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And that's new. That's different from the old factories, for
Yeah.
sure. That was like a within the company or dealing with the company. Like you had your designs and stuff like that, or your G code and M code
Hmm.
and all that stuff.
Well, I guess there's multiple things to digital factory, right? You could be saving the CAD files. You could just be sta saving a mesh file
Hmm.
or any version of a 3D model file. Then you could also be saving sliced files.
Hmm. Which I've
3M,
done.
yeah,
Yeah.
3MFs with
Hmm.
specific stuff in there besides the model, which I do too.
Yep.
So it's all different kinds of things you could be saving. And then even, yeah, just having more files available to the
Hmm.
customers. Before, companies would make a product and then it's no longer available on the market, right?
Mm.
Replacement parts aren't available on the market anymore. And it's way too expensive for them to make those replacement parts,
Right.
or it's not worth it because not enough people need it.
Yeah.
So then, like, if it's just a digital file online, they can live forever and be produced forever without any additional cost or having to worry about anything. It's just having that ping for that, that whatever megabyte server space to host the files.
Yeah.
And then, it's out there forever instead of being like, okay, this all the models or the process or the molds for this are gone, so we can't
Yeah.
make any more without redoing everything again
Mhm.
or stuff like that. So I think it gives more life and maybe unlimited life to products or parts or stuff like that.
100%. And one of the things that made me think of is like, a company may have all the best intentions. They just realize like they reach a point where it's like, okay, the demand's not there for these parts. We need to put the mold away and, take it off the machine to let this machine run
Yeah.
something that's active. You may lose someone in the process, who was
May
trained
lose
to
a
put that in.
mold.
You lose a mold, right? But it's
Yeah.
like, even if everything was perfect and that company was like, we've got demand, like we'll bring it back, they can't do it for five.
No.
They can't do it for 500 or 5,000.
No, they
You
can't.
know, they need like this thing is coming back, nostalgia city. Like we want a million parts. Like that's when
Uh,
that mold is coming back out, you know?
yeah. And it still has to, right? It still has to be affordable to the customer.
Right.
Or else it's
Right.
like, oh, I might as well just buy a fucking new one, right?
Yeah.
So it needs to
Yeah.
make sense for both ends of the people.
Hmm. Where in this case, where you're talking about, right? Like a company could still make that same decision, right?
Hmm.
Could take the mold off the shelf and put it to the side. But instead of the project making no more money, you could put that file up there for like $1 or
Hmm.
$5
Yeah.
and just say, hey, you've lost that part. We totally understand. Here's this model. If you'd like to buy it, it's yours. You can replace it anytime. You just gotta make it. Like someone with a 3D printer could make that for probably, we'll just say I'm thinking of a small part, like another dollar, right?
Yeah. Right.
Max in
Yeah.
in what it costs you if you own it. And I mean that's
And
next level.
right now too, it's as easy as they have the file and you're just like, you go to Slant 3D, you go to Pro Labs, you go to
Yep.
someone and be like, hey, can print this for me? And still, you're not printing at home. It still might be cheaper than getting the replacement part that they might offer
Yeah. And it's
or could
probably gonna be
offer.
faster, right?
Oh,
They have to
100%.
find the
Yeah.
part in the inventory, then the guy's got to ship it out, then it's got to
Still
get
might be
to you.
coming from China that might not have any available in the United
Yeah.
States or
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's another thing that I just thought of. Like the cost of starting up a machine. It's definitely something that's important if you own a machine to consider, right?
Hmm.
Like the difference between printing a part in one go, while it might be high risk and it could fail and you might have to start over. Like if you split that part up into a bunch of pieces, it's still going to cost each time you start that printer.
Yeah.
Like it is a different cost. And while it's a ton less than an
Yes, it's a
injection
ton
molding
less.
machine,
Yeah.
it's still a cost. And the good thing is that we live in the side of the manufacturing world where that startup cost is cheap, but
Very
it's
cheap.
it's
Yeah,
not
it's
nothing.
FDM compared to anything with inks
Hmm.
or resin
Yeah.
is a lot cheaper.
Yeah. There was a video that you had sent me of a guy in our kind of similar situation where he was reviewing like those like multicolored dragon parts that were being sold
Yeah.
online. And I remember having the same thought of like there was a lot of people that had these printers and started printing these things and doing old traditional manufacturing stuff, right? Printing a lot of them and then trying to sell them.
Yes.
And they were at prices that, as someone that does price 3D printing, was like, how are you selling like a 14-inch long like multicolor dragon for what was it, like $30? or
It's something
something.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, or I see a lot those like little raccoons in like the trash ba barrel, like for like 6.97, $6, like $7. There's to me, it's like that's someone with a traditional manufacturing mindset getting a printer for the right reason, which is this is cheap, I can print it cheap,
Yeah.
but not understanding the true cost of like
Yeah.
what it is to make something. And that's something that the new world, I think that's a oh, I got this injection molded. This is what it would cost me. So I'll just charge that on the 3D printer. And
Well,
that's where it just
you know,
doesn't
they're
work.
paying for the material and they're probably going to be end up the printer will more than certainly pay for itself. But that,
Yeah.
you know, they're not making that much money and they're probably not thinking about, you know, the time it took, especially those multicolor prints,
Yeah.
the time it took for the printer to print those, the
Mm,
waste material, the life and maintenance of the printer,
mm,
the electricity, all those things kind of have to take in consideration, especially those multicolored prints, especially the big ones. The
yeah,
time that takes to print one on a printer is crazy.
it is.
Unless you have a lot of printers, you know, you're spending what, maybe half a day, a whole day to print one thing that you can sell for what, 30 bucks?
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
kind of, when you put that in mind with the time, it's kind of crazy.
It is. It really is. I know. And then like I've gotten to the point where, I started off on demand with our Etsy shop. And once we got into the multicolor game, it basically this is somewhat true of single color filament 3D printing, but more true on the multicolor. So I have the Prusa MMU2S, not a bamboo, which is a very nice system, but it builds that purge block of the color. And so
Mhm.
like it makes more sense if I get an order for one of a part, it makes way more sense for me to print two of those
Oh, it
because
makes
of the
sense to do a
time.
whole bill plate. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Because
It's
that
just
purge
like,
tower is still going to be the same
yeah.
height, depending if you print one or you print a whole bill plate of them, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, like, I think it's actually good to keep stock
Yeah,
of the multicolored prints if you know you're printing them in a series of 10, even if you only need one, right?
right. Right.
So that's
Yeah.
other
To
things to
your point
consider.
about the time that it takes. It's a very good point.
But then again, if you do a whole bill plate, you could have some failures too, right?
That's why I said one or two. Because like I do find that often as someone that doesn't have a ton of 3D printers,
Yeah.
compared to these people that are, running these whole print farms, I'm more of an idea shop in a lot of ways. So I need to batch my regular printing for the business of selling products to be within half a day because I need to
Yeah.
be able, if I get an email in, I want to be able to print that night.
Yeah.
So it all depends on your factory and your setup and what works best for you.
Mhm.
I think that's what I got, man. Do you have anything else to touch on?
I don't think so. I think we covered that pretty well.
Cool. Cool. Now that was good. I knew we wanted to talk about this like supply chain, but also like business and factory stuff. And I think we did a good job.
Yeah, yeah. I think we
Yeah.
touched a lot of bases.
Definitely. Definitely. And you can let us know what you thought about in the comments here, or you can reach out to us if we have an email. We'll put one up here and it'll be amazing. If you're just listening, I'm gesturing. We're putting up the sound effect or something. But we'd love to hear from you. This has been Layered Insights, a 3D printing podcast. I'm Alex.
No, Matt.
And Matt, where can the folks reach out to you if they want to work with you?
Yeah, they can find me on my website, niche3d.io, uh, or matthew.guy at niche3d.io, or on LinkedIn, just at Matthew Guy.
Perfect. And if you want to work with me or see what I'm doing, you can check out ag3d-printing.com to see everything we're doing with the Part Detective. And we've got our Instagram at ag3dprinting, our Etsy shop at ag3dprinting.etsy.com. And yeah, if you're looking to make something or bring an idea into reality, you've got myself, you've got Matt. Pick your flavor, and you can go with it. And we'll help you find a way to implement the factories of the future for you to solve whatever it is, whether it's a problem, making a product, starting a business. We've
Yeah,
got you
let's
covered.
let's have you start your own digital factory.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's something we can do.
Yeah.
So that's it, folks. Keep 3D printing.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Season 1 might be over, but it was just the first print.
We'll be coming back for print 2 of Layered Insights.
And this time we've got more voices, more insights, and more prints.
And for the first time, we're bringing on guests, makers, engineers, designers, and entrepreneurs who are using 3D printing in wild, creative, and professional ways.
From custom tools to product development, we're talking real-world examples and the challenges behind the scenes, digging into the magic behind every part.
But we want to hear from you. What topics should we cover? What questions do you have? Drop your ideas in the comments below.
Subscribe
now and get ready for print 2 of Layered Insights.
And it's coming hot off the build plate, so don't miss it.